Jamaica for work on the sugar plantations in the West Indies. Before that could happen, his godparents managed to get to Lord Mansfield, who was the Chief Justice of the Court of King's Bench, a very powerful and famous judge in England, who issued a writ of habeas corpus, had him taken off the ship, and that's when the trial started. And
how did the trial go, if you can sort of sum it up?
It was a writ of habeas corpus. Produce the body, which is James Somerset's body, and tell me why you think you can keep him on a ship and take him to Jamaica.
And the trial ended how?
It ended with the judge saying that he was free, that you could not take him to Jamaica, and the reason is that he was not a slave. Slavery was so odious that English law would not support it.
And as a result, that really was the end of slavery in England, was it not?
It certainly was, and it was the beginning of the end of slavery in the United States and elsewhere as well.
How do you think that impacted the whole abolitionist movement here in the United States? You have this ruling in England. It would be almost 100 years before emancipation here. What was that? How did this affect what happened in the United States?
Well, it was a very newsworthy event. All of the colonial newspapers covered it. The slaves in the colonies certainly knew about it. In fact, many wanted to try to get to London so they could be free too. And in all of the judicial decisions, both North and South, from 1772 up to the time of the Civil War, it was always a major factor.
Did it actually make it easier for Abraham Lincoln, in a sense of a precedent?
Oh, he certainly would have known about it, and what it did make it easier was for people like Chief Justice Shaw of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court in the 1830s to come down and rule in favor of a black slave who was brought here from New Orleans, and he really showed how it had affected Massachusetts law and made it clear that you couldn't have slaves here.
You compare this decision to the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education decision, striking down separate but equal, and other cases like that. Why do you compare it to those kinds of cases?
Well, it was really the first major case anywhere in which a judge clearly said slavery was wrong, slavery was illegal, and it really started the ball rolling. Brown really owes a great debt to the case of Somerset versus Stewart.
What is it about, or what was it about the British justice system or British society that would allow for a decision like this, a decision that couldn't come in the United States for nearly 100 years later?
Well, in Lord Mansfield, you had a great judge, perhaps the greatest judge who ever spoke English, who, despite social pressures, policy pressures, political pressures, he did what he thought was right, and he thought slavery was wrong. You also had a man like Granville Sharp, who's been referred to as the first abolitionist, who was determined that slavery was going to end.
Now, what about the title of the book? Though the Heavens May Fall, isn't there a significance with the title of the book?
Oh, yes. Lord Mansfield knew what was going to happen if he ruled the way he did. And he did not want that to happen unless it was absolutely required. And so he tried to get the slaves' side and the slave master's side to settle the case month after month. They wouldn't do it. They clearly wouldn't do it. And finally he said, in exasperation, he said, well then, let justice be done, though the heavens may fall.
Because finally, what would you like readers to take away from this book? The key thing that you think they should notice about this book?
Well, this book is one model for how you can change the world when you are determined to change the world, and even when people don't want to change, you can present arguments to them, you can show them how determined you were, and things change. Even great things like slavery come to an end.
Okay.
Great wrongs.
All right, well, the book is Though the Heavens May Fall, and the author is Stephen Wise. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's it for this edition of Urban Update. I'd like to thank my guests for their participation, and thank you for watching. If you'd like more information about today's show, go to the WHDH website at WHDH.com and click on Urban Update. For Urban Update, I'm Byron Barnett. Have a great Sunday, everyone.